Welcome back to Jersey Matters. Hope you were having a great Labor Day weekend. I'm Larry Menti. New Jersey high schools already lead the country in having a curriculum that includes financial planning. But now this fall, it will be the first in the country to include financial psychology as part of the curriculum, thanks to New Jersey state-certified financial planner, Michelle Arpin Begina. Michelle, thanks for joining us today. I really appreciate it. I want to congratulate you, first of all, with your contribution to financial literacy in New Jersey, and we'll get to your contribution in 1 second. But you were telling me that New Jersey is at the forefront of teaching financial literacy. Can you explain?
They are. So we have been teaching financial literacy since about 2014 as a high school college or a high school requirement for graduation. And a few years back, 2018, New Jersey now requires middle schoolers to have financial literacy curriculum to be promoted out of middle school and into high school. So we are cutting edge in what we're doing in our approach to financial literacy. We're the only state in the country that's doing that. Before we get to your addition on it, explain what financial literacy is. It's like speaking another language, Larry, right? If we're lucky enough to hit the genetic lottery that our parents taught us how to earn money, save money, invest money, and how to manage our emotions around money. Some of us get lucky, some of us don't, but financial literacy really is just that. It's not only knowing how to take our skills and our knowledge to earn money, it's also understanding what to do with that money once we're earning it. So it's the planning of it, the budgeting, understanding credit, understanding risk, whether that's investment or personal risk, on and on, all of the life stuff that our money touches. It is so critically important, and it is beyond comprehension why it's taken so long for school systems to understand how important that is, when I'm sure they have kids of their own that fall into the traps of credit cards and student loans and all of those problems. Now, let's talk about that in a second. I want to get to your contribution because there is a new addition to the curriculum coming up this fall, and it's because of you, and it has to do with financial psychology. Explain that. Yes. So in late 2018, I made a proposal to the state to add financial psychology and behavioral economics to our curriculum. I was doing research on another project, re-looked at the standards and realized that that was missing. My perspective, Larry, is first and foremost, I'm a resident of New Jersey. I have 2 school-age kids who are in the public school system. I want this not just for my kids, but for every kid. I mean, my kids are going to be out of the system soon. So this is really for the kids that are coming through. And what I come from is that perspective of being a resident, being a mom, but I'm also a practitioner. So I am a financial advisor, and I see this in practice of how people struggle around good, wise, rational, solid financial decision-making, and through no fault of their own. They don't have the information into who they are as people, what they believe in, and where those beliefs come from. That's really the psychological component about money. And the behavioral is some of our biological hardwiring that makes it difficult for us to make good decisions when we're in an irrational state of mind. So it's really teaching our kids what we know now. We know more about this, and it's upgrading the standards so that our kids are exposed to this kind of information sooner than later. Are we the first school district in the country to have financial psychology added? We are. And now, we are. So you saw what was being taught now for several years in New Jersey, and you thought something was lacking, it's not enough. And so explain why you believe financial psychology is important and exactly what it is. Well, I think there's 2 things for me to share. One, it's my own lived experience growing up in New Jersey. My parents ran a very successful business, and they were a hot mess when it came to their money. And it had nothing to do with knowledge. It really was them managing their emotions around money, which led to a lot of misspending behaviors. For example, when I was an early teen, our house was about to be foreclosed on, and we owned a private airplane. So that was my first exposure to how emotionally connected we are to our money. Later, as a practitioner in the field, I would meet people who were making sometimes $1 million salaries, if you can believe this, and had little or nothing to show for it. I don't have any judgment around it. It's not facts and figures alone. There's an emotional connection that we have to our money that prevents us from really creating the type of wealth or security that we want to have. So I've lived it and I've seen it in practice. And I just thought, we know so much more, and we need to be exposing our kids to these connections, not just the factual information.
It's interesting because there are unique financial problems for young adults. And many times it's the first time they're on their own and the world's in front of them and they want to enjoy it and they want to explore. And there you have credit card offers. And then you have your student loan debt. And so give me one tip to manage that. And what is the psychology of that?
Yeah. Well, I think first and foremost, it goes to what do you want out of your financial life and why do you want it? And then I would go to the values, right? What do you really value around money? It could be education, it could be freedom, it could be family. So really understanding what drives you first. I think just to talk about the student loan debt situation for a second, I think part of the psychology there is that we have bought into something around what education means and the type of life that it can provide. And it's become, I think, this social problem of following a specific path. And that path is get into the best school, take on as much debt as you possibly can, and it will all work out because you'll be able to make enough to be able to pay those debts back. And we're finding that that's not necessarily the case. I mean, when I first started as an advisor, the common wisdom was save for your retirement. Don't worry about planning for college education. You can always find the money for school. And now we're seeing how much this is really biting people.
Yeah, and that is it's interesting because that's what brought it home to me. That is a psychological problem. That is putting too much of an emphasis on one aspect of your life and saying that I have to have this college, I have to have this college, or I'm never going to make it. And it might be the one thing that actually is holding you back. Because it's a drag on the rest of your life. Well, how in your curriculum do you deal with that type of problem? That specific?
Yes. So what we noticed in the working on the updated standards is there was some legislation that hadn't passed around educating our kids around the student loans, scholarships, grants, et cetera. And in our work, we just decided to add it. We weren't waiting for a law to be passed. We said our kids need to know this. So it got put into the curriculum. And that starts from 8th to 12th grade. They're learning about the consequences of default, taking a look at their income relative to their education, relative to the debt that they may take on. So a lot of critical thinking, as well as the information that they need around different types of loans or different ways to pay for school.
Wonderful. Congratulations again. It's nice to know, in New Jersey, schools are always number one or number two in the country. So you might push them over the edge to number one once again.
I don't think it's as big.
Thanks a lot, Michelle. I appreciate it. Michelle Arpin Begina, New Jersey certified financial planner. Still to come on Jersey Matters, a new docuseries about the pandemic, and it's centered on one New Jersey town. We'll tell you about it next.